welcome back to Happening by Chance. My name is Mariana and today I am here with part 2 of the Show Us Your Decks tag. So I actually filmed part of this tag yesterday but the footage didn't came out great. I'm going to just use a couple of the clips that I filmed yesterday, and today I'm filming some again and I'm filming the rest. It wasn't a great choice on my part because today there's a lot of noise. So if you can hear a lot of noise, then I am sorry. I will see how it is in editing. Hopefully it will be okay. I found this a friend made for me years ago, and I thought I'd put it here just for two purposes. One, to show my name so that people can know what it is. And two, these kind of like signals the top left corner for me, so I kind of know where to be because I'm always checking if I'm in frame. You will see some clips that don't have my name. Those are the clips that I filmed yesterday. Hope it's not weird. Okay, stop babbling. Let's move on to the video. I was super excited when I saw Angel at Feeding Myself 1212. I was super excited when I saw she came up with 15 more prompts because she is so good at making prompts. And I feel like the reason why this tag is so much fun to do and to watch is because it's literally like a scavenger hunt. You get a prompt and then you have to go find just a random deck with that. So prompt number 1 is a deck with a quote inside the box. And I found several. I was actually going to show you one that is a talk box. I just thought it was super fun because it's not as common to see talk boxes with quotes inside, and it's also super funny. I'm not going to show you that one for this prompt because for this prompt I chose the Radiant Tarot Pathway to Creativity. That's the subtitle, and it's by Alexandra Elridge and Tony Barnstone. I think he's a poet and a translator, and that's why I was attracted to this deck in the first place, because the guidebook is written by a poet and translator, and I just thought that was super cool. And actually I really love the quote on the inside. So it has several quotes. So here it says, "Nature is imagination itself," which I honestly adore. This is the guidebook that I'm going to show you in a bit because it's amazing. And then it also has quotes here. So this is where the cards usually go. I'm going to show them to you in a second. And you have several quotes. So here it says, "The search is for the inherent radiance in all things." And then here it says, "The extraordinary in the ordinary." And I don't know, I think the extraordinary in the ordinary is my favorite concept of all, because I think that is where magic lies. So those are the quotes, and as Angel does in her video, she still shows the deck because why not? Because it's fun. So this is the book, and the book is really amazing. So I haven't read it like from cover to cover. That was my plan. I wanted to read it from cover to cover. I'm going to leave it out of the box to read it. Oh, bookmark. So it has the artist's preface, but then so it's all about creativity. See, creativity and health, creativity and the transformed self, creativity and the return to innocence, creativity and self-knowledge, creativity and health, creativity and empathy, ways to use the Radiant Tarot, ways to use it, the spreads. And then I wanted to show you the entries for the cards, because you have the name of the card, a keyword, and then you have a little quote, and then you have the description of the card, then you have the meaning of the card, and then, and this is what really interests me, you have musings. Just like musings, random musings. These musings talk about authors, talk about history, talk about just as it says, they are musings, random musings about each card, and then a creative practice, and then the astrological note. It has quotes from authors and stuff, and then for the minors you get the same thing. It's amazing. So that's the book that I am going to read from cover to cover eventually. And this is where I keep the cards. I made this pouch. These are the backs of the cards. This is actually modified, so it's not going to be like that if you buy it. I trim the edges, or rather, as you know, my mom trimmed the edges because I can't do it, and she helps me with the mods. The cardstock is very slippery, so they always fell down. And so without the borders, I can now shuffle them horizontally, and that's easier. I'm not going to attempt to do it on camera because the cardstock is slippery, and I'm going to drop them, because I always do. Every time I show this deck, I drop the cards. Okay, so the cool thing about this is that the pips are color coordinated, the suits. So this is my favorite card, the Hierophant, the Magician. It's a combination of humans and animals. It's a weird deck, but I really like it. I really like it. So you see the cups are red, and then the swords are blue, and the pentacles are green. The pentacles is my favorite suit. I love this green that they chose. And then just like illustrated majors. See, the minors are pips, but they have little illustrations, motifs and stuff. The queens are human, but the kings are animals. So, oh, the ones are yellow. So like here, you see this is the 6 of wands. So it's pips, but you have the wreath. So it kind of gives you the RWS meaning. This is actually why I don't use this deck as much. I feel like a lot of people like pips that have knots to RWS. In my case, that really confuses me, which is why I don't use this deck as much as I would like to, because it's a really cool deck. I really like this devil card, one of my favorite devil cards. So yeah, that's the Radiant Tarot Pathway to Creativity deck. So another one I want to show you real quick is just this one, because this is a talk box and it has a quote inside, and this is not something really common, right? So this one is a playing card deck, the medieval animal playing cards, and when you open it, here it has a quote, and it's a hilarious quote, because if you've seen medieval animals, you know how they are drawn. They're not exactly lifelike. And so here the quote says, "Why don't you try drawing it then? What a medieval monk might say to you about his lion drawing, probably." So it's really funny, and yeah, I just wanted to show it because it's not super common to find a quote inside a talk box, and this one has it. The next prompt is a deck with a damaged box or a card, and this is the only deck that I'm going to show you that I showed you in the previous version of this tag. So in the Show Us Your Decks part 1, I showed you this deck. This is the only repeat. I didn't want to do repeats in this one, but this is just perfect for this prompt. So this is the Visconti Sforza that I keep in this bag, and this one came, like, I didn't damage the card, I didn't bend it or anything. It came that way from, like, it was like a factory error. So let's find it, because actually let's turn it around so you can see the pretty cards. Oh wait, it's here. Haha, super easy. Thank you deck tag VR gods. So it's like this. Can you see it? See, if I turn it around, maybe you can see. Yeah, can you see there's a bend? But it's not really a bend I feel like the machine, while cutting the cards, I feel like that's what this is. Like the machine cut through here, but it didn't cut completely because it's kind of bent. So on the front, I mean in the back, it's just bent, but in the front you can see how it completely ripped. So that would be the damaged card. It was perfect for this prompt. I'm glad it was at the top and easy to find for this second prompt. The next prompt is a deck with one or more renamed cards. So I don't have a lot of them because actually that's something I don't like. But sometimes it's done well. When it's because of the concept of the deck and it's done well, I can really like it. And that's the case with this next deck. There is a new acquisition that I love. I've been wanting this deck for ages. This is one of these decks that, you know, everyone has this deck that they love, they want, they really want. And it's mass market, it's not expensive, but for some reason you don't buy it. And then suddenly, years later, you're like, I'm going to buy that deck. So that's this deck. And I'm glad I waited because I found it for so cheap. I wasn't even looking for it. I just came across it. So cheap, new, couldn't believe it. And it is the Goblin Market Tarot. This one has renamed cards. So let's not babble about the deck. Here, let's just look at the pretty cards because the point of the prompt is that they are renamed. Here, for instance, you have the courts that are renamed, not all of them. So the pages are Porter of Wands. The knights are knights. King is Lord of Wands and Queen is Lady of Wands. The majors are also renamed. Wait, I have to show you because I think this is the coolest thing. So it comes with two significators and they are the one who went into fairy and the one who stayed behind. It's genius, fantastic, amazing, magical. I love it. It's perfect. It's perfect. But the majors, the point of this prompt, the renaming of the majors, they are backwards. So they are in order but backwards. But here, for instance, so the 21 is the fairy realm, 20 is the queen's favor, the 19 is the sun room, then 18 is the moonlit spell, then 17 is the starry roof, 16 is the fallen tree. I love when they change the tower to a fallen tree because that's kind of historical. There are some historical decks like the Jacques Gabriel, for instance, that have the lightning instead of the tower and they have a tree that's being struck by lightning. The fairy trickster is 15. 14 is the fairy dreamer. 13 is the dark one. 12 is the this one is funny, the upside downer. 11 is the secret way. 10 is fortune's rule. 9 is the lone fairy. 8 is the fairy switch, that one is fun too. 7 is the fairy wagon. 6 is the fairy lovers. 5 is the fairy wise man. 4 is the fairy king, then 3 is the fairy queen, 2 is the enchantress, and 1 is the cunning man, and the fool is the fairy wanderer. So that's, as you see, a lot of renamed cards in this one, but it goes on theme and I love it so much. Oh, the book is fantastic because obviously because it's John Matthews. Let's just move to the next prompt. This is the Goblin Market prompt 3, I think. The next prompt is a deck with reversible backs, and for this one I feel like I could have chose most of my Marseille decks, but I realized when I put together all my deck selection, I realized that I had all tarot and no oracle in this one, so I wanted to go with an oracle, and so I chose the minimalist oracle deck, which is a deck I loved and I used so much at the beginning, and I feel like I haven't used it in a while, and I really should, and I hadn't talked about it in a while. See, one of the reasons why I hesitate to use it is because it's gilded, and gilding is one of my deal breakers. See, this I bought early on in my tarot life, and I didn't know that back then. Nowadays, if I see a deck is gilded, I like 90% I'm not going to buy it. It would have to be very special for me to buy it. But anyway, this is why I don't use it. So it's just a minimalist oracle with keywords. As you know, my favorite oracles are one word, and I love this one because you can read with it only. I feel like this is so good in terms of like it matches my current way of reading, and it's interesting that I bought it so early on when I was buying decks that now I look and I'm like, I don't use it anymore because it wasn't really my thing. But this one very much is an oracle that I would buy today, and I would buy it because I can read with this. Like I don't need to pair it. This reads on its own. So it's like this, and some cards are black, like this one mystery, and I love it because the shapes are not just random shapes. Like they do communicate the concept, like this mystery, and you have the black card with a single white square that resembles maybe like a window, you know. So the shapes do communicate the concept. Oh, I love this card, the void. Those are the fronts, but the point were the backs. These are the backs. So as you see, completely reversible. I actually really love these bags. So again, this is an interesting deck because it fits my current way of reading so well, but I bought it before I knew, you know, like on some level I knew what type of reader I was, even when I was very new, and this oracle is one of the ones that speak to that. But as I said, I hate the gilding. If anyone knows of a good technique to get rid of gilding, please let me know. I want to try. So I have some decks where I sanded the gilding off, but it's so much work. It's so much work. I saw also, I don't remember where I saw that you could use acetone. So you put acetone and it removes the gilding. So I want to try that. But I feel like nowadays nail polish remover is not 100% acetone. It's just like a soothing liquid for your hands. And I'm like, just give me acetone. I just want chemical to remove the gilding. So if anyone knows of a solution for gilding, please let me know because I hate it. I don't buy so many decks because of it, and I don't use the ones I have that are gilded because I don't want to sand it. I could, maybe I'll end up sanding it anyway. And then the next prompt is a deck with a star on the box, and that deck is one of my most prized possessions. I do think that it's the most luxurious deck that I own. If you can hear noise outside, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what my neighbors are doing. Yeah, it's the most luxurious deck I own, but I'm super proud because I did some internet investigation, and I ended up managing to find a copy where I didn't need to pay for shipping. One day I will tell you the story. It is crazy. It's a crazy story, and it's honestly meant to be. So that is Le Tarot de l'Étoile Cachée, which means the tarot of the hidden star, and it has a star here. The dogs are barking, there's noise. I'm just going to continue. So it opens like this. The art is done by, oh my god, I follow her on Instagram. I love her art. I'm probably editing, screaming at myself. And it is like a Marseille, but with a super cool design. You'll see. It's just art paper but black. It's silver ink. It's not stamping, so it's not like foil, but it's silver ink. So you can see these are the designs, and as you can see, it's not like a traditional Marseille. Her art is just, it's so cool. So it's super elegant, super elegant, super look, these are some sorts. Let me find some pips. So here are some coins. The moon, it's just, her style is so cool. She also has a mass market RWS deck by Los Carabeo that has gold foil. It's not gilded, it just has gold foil, and that one is called, I am going to blank on the name as well, but I'm putting it on screen. I actually owned that deck, but I recently gifted it to my cousin because I never use it, because I don't read with RWS anymore. These are the swords. I'm not going to do a full flip through, but the minors sometimes have more like modern elements, so like some technology elements, and yeah, it's just super cool. And yeah, it's one of my most prized possessions. It's the most luxurious deck I own, and I love it so much. And it has a star in the box, and the cardstock is amazing. It's one of those that has the most amazing sound. See, this is great because it looks as if it was etched, but it's not etched. The cardstock is black. And can you hear? It's one of those that has a hollow sound, like a hollow, airy sound. Can you hear it? It's like one of those that goes instead of ta 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 when you shuffle. Does that make sense? Super luxurious. I love it so much. And it has one of these type of, what are they called, like matchbox boxes. Not my favorite in general, but this one, it just makes it super luxurious. The next prompt is a deck with no humans or very few humans in the minors. I could have shown any of my Marseille decks, but I thought, okay, obviously there are no humans in the pips, but there are humans in the courts. And I don't know, I thought it would be so predictable if I showed you a Marseille for this prompt. So instead I went with a different deck that I actually showed in the video that I recently did, where I showed all of my print-on-demand decks. And there are no humans in the entire deck because it's the Naturescapes Tarot. And it's just nature photography. I think most people probably know what this deck is or have seen it before. So for instance, this is the Three of Pentacles, this is the Knight of Cups, this is the Knight of Pentacles. So this is the Naturescapes. I thought it was a perfect answer for this prompt. No humans or hardly any humans, that's the prompt, but this one has no humans in the majors, in the minors, no humans anywhere. This is the Three of Swords. I really love this Three of Swords. Hermit, Four of Wands. I feel like there are many flip-throughs of this deck because it's very well known. And you can get this one on Make Playing Cards. The next prompt is a deck that doesn't have a person in the full card, and again I could have shown you, I thought of the folkloric forest and the spacious, but I showed both in the previous one, so I'm going to go with the K Tarot Love, which is a very like painting abstract kind of a deck. So it comes like this. This is the booklet, and actually the box has the Fool. But let's look for it so we can look at the deck. So the cards look like this. As you can see, very abstract, very soft. Let's look for the Fool. I'm going to flip through some cards, see if we can find the Fool. This is a moon. I love this moon card. I swear it's going to be the last card. Maybe the universe wanted me to flip through this deck, but I'm not enjoying it. I either passed it and didn't realize it, or I lost the full card. I'm going to look for a picture and put it on screen. The next prompt is a deck with your favorite box design, and I knew right away what it was, but I'm going to show you two because the one that it is, I showed you in my previous response in part 1 of this tag. So my favorite boxes are talk boxes. I think I mention it in every video. And my favorite, absolute favorite talk box, my favorite box in my entire collection is the folkloric forest tarot. It's perfect in my view. It has the perfect sound. It has this little design of the like as if it was a seal, but it's not a seal, and it has this line of foil, which is very elegant. I feel like creators can get like carried away with too much foil, but this is just perfect, and just like the texture, like the old book texture design, it's perfect. But I'm not going to show you this deck because I showed it in the previous response. The other one I want to show you is this one by Uzi. It's the Materia Prima Oracle, one of my favorite oracles, even though it's not the one I use the most. If I did a top 3 oracles, I do think this one would be in my top 3. And the top box design is fantastic. Uzi decks are super luxurious. In terms of graphic design, I feel like there are some decks that as a graphic designer give me a design gasm, and Uzi are like that. And this is the same case, I just realized, than the folkloric forest, where it just has a fine outline in gold foil, and it makes it super elegant. But again, they don't go overboard. This is another one that I bought for the art, and I'm doing the whole opening from the bottom so I don't break the seal. That's not for like collector's purposes or anything. It's literally for aesthetic purposes. Oh, another thing. Oh, I forgot. Okay, yeah. This might be my favorite box design. Wait, this might be my favorite box design. There's purple inside. I'm telling you, they are. I'm telling you that in terms of design, Uzi decks are superior. Whoa, I almost dropped them. I think if you have an Uzi deck, you will know they are slippery. This could be another one with reversible bags. Actually, I thought about showing it, but I wanted to show it for my favorite box design, and this one is just a deck based on the elements of the periodic table. It is really well known, and I have showed it before, and I've explained how I use it. I use it with the figures. If like here you have this figure with a mask, here you have this figure that seems to be stopping something. So if you have a card here, this figure is kind of stopping it. If you saw my Marseille video of how to, you know how I do the card interaction, and this deck has fantastic card interaction. This is another one that could be answered for a deck that I bought for the art specifically. So yeah, bought the talk box. Purple interiors, gold foil, excellent material. Yeah, no, fantastic. I do think this is my favorite talk box, with the folkloric forest being a close second. Yeah. I just changed my mind. This is my favorite box. The folkloric forest is a close second. The next prompt is a deck you have done a complete 180, like a 180 change in how you feel about a deck. And Angel said this might be that you really loved it, but then when you received it, you didn't like it, but then after using it, then you loved it. Or a deck that you loved, that you thought you were going to love and then you didn't. Or a deck that you thought you weren't going to love but then you did. You understand the question. Like, however you want to interpret it, a deck you did a complete 180 on, and this one was, I thought right away what I wanted to use. So this is the my copy of the Ancient Italian Tarot, which actually, if you saw my previous video of how to read Marseille, I used it there. I keep it in a pouch because the talk box is not great. This talk box looks as if I had owned it for like 20 years, which is clearly not the case. And the reason why I am choosing this deck, which I think also has reversible bags, I could have shown this because the bags are super beautiful. But the reason why I'm choosing this one as a complete 180 is because when I first saw it online, I adored it. I thought it was one of the most beautiful decks I had ever seen. It has the most beautiful tower card, which you can see here. Amazing, so beautiful, classic art, just really beautiful. But then when I received it, I couldn't really read with it, and I thought it was because I wasn't connecting with it, and that maybe this style of deck didn't work for me, which is honestly a sacrilege to say, and I'm even embarrassed to say it out loud. But I bought this deck before I really seriously started learning how to read with classic pips. And I actually did a project on my Instagram, you can see it if you go on my Instagram, where there was a whole month where I did a daily pull, where I pulled one day from Marseille deck and one day from my Centennial RWS. So it was one day, and I had two decks, two oracles, and did a daily pull, and I had chosen this deck to be my Marseille, or I mean classic pips, not really Marseille. Um, but it didn't work for me, it didn't speak to me, and so I ended up changing it for the Marshmallow Marseille. And I decided, you know what, I think maybe either Italian decks are not for me, which again I'm embarrassed to say out loud, because Italians are my favorite and they are the most beautiful and they are fantastic readers. So I was like, either Italian decks don't work for me, or maybe it's because this is like an older style, but it's a modern deck, so it's not really like a facsimile. The paper is modern cardstock, so maybe I need like a, like a more artistic paper, or I don't know. So I ended up buying a more expensive deck that came in like a higher quality paper. And anyway, long story short, after I formally learned Marseille, or classical pips, of course I took this deck out again, and of course now I could read with it. So of course it wasn't a matter of the deck, it was a matter of me not knowing how to read classical pips. And now Italian decks are my favorite. I actually have more Italian than Marseille. Look at the star. I mean, absolutely stunning. And actually, this deck I love now. Like, specifically this deck, I adore. I have talked before about how I have so many expensive indie, more like art quality decks, and whenever I use this one or other mass market ones, I think, okay, I didn't need all those expensive ones. Not that I'm sad to have them in my collection because I love them, but honestly, like, if I hadn't discovered Tarot Tube and I had just used this one for years and years, I would probably be happy with it. Though, of course, if I hadn't discovered Tarot Tube, I wouldn't even have known about this deck. So this is my complete 180, and it's the ancient Italian Tarot by Lo Scarabeo. The next prompt is a deck with an even major in the box. So, a major that has an even number in the box. This was, I think, the easiest prompt because most Marseille or classic decks have majors or triumphs in the box. So it was just a matter of seeing which ones had even majors. And my struggle with this prompt was choosing which one I wanted to show you guys. I ended up choosing the Talisman Tarot, which has the moon, and just because it's such a beautiful moon, and because this box is what grabbed my attention and what immediately made me think I need that deck. So I never buy decks just based on the box, but the box was what grabbed my attention, and I looked for a flip through, and I'll show you a couple of cards. So luckily I have it in order, but it's like this style of like painting, and then the backs look like this. So let's look for the moon. So this is oh wait, it's not in order. So this is the Fool, and then you have these are the Wands, and then these are the Cups. I mean, the color is red. This is another major. So that's like the style of the deck. Let me look for the moon. I mean, you already saw the moon, right? Look at the star. The star is also so beautiful, and here is the moon, which is absolutely beautiful. So that's the Talisman Tarot with the moon in the box. The next prompt is a deck that you have in your tarot storage with the text facing the other way or the wrong way. And for this one I chose the Grail Tarot, and that's because I had the box looking like this. It was against the wall, but because of the book it kept falling towards the front, so I turned it around and I have it facing like this. The cards are very reminiscent of the Golden Tarot, except its original artwork. It's one of those that if you put all the suits together, the majors together and such, then you get a complete scene. The artwork is absolutely amazing, and this is another one that has renamed cards, and these are the backs, which I honestly love. The next prompt is a lonely deck, a deck you don't keep with other decks, and it's the Wisdom of Place Tarot. And the reason why it's lonely is because I have a set of volumes of ancient Mexican poetry and literature, and of course there's a lot of nature and in those poems, and this is a deck that is about the wisdom of place, about nature-centric religions that respected the place, respected geography. So this is created by landscape architects, and they are very respectful of the landscape. So of course this is more in like a contemporary perspective of the global north, obviously, whereas the ancient Mexican texts are not. But I felt like philosophically they were kind of akin, and also and obviously like the aesthetic aspect contributes to to making the link even bigger, because the cover of those books is orange. I'll try to insert a picture. So they go really nicely philosophically and aesthetically. I have it in order because I bought the big book for it. Because I usually don't buy the big book of decks, but for this one I did want to buy it, and I do want to read it before using the deck, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. Sometimes I end up using a deck before reading the book, but in this case I do want to read it. I have ideas for this deck. I'm not going to say which they are, because sometimes I say things in videos and then I don't follow through. So this is a Wisdom of Place, and it's a lonely deck, but it's not really lonely because it's accompanied by my beautiful volumes of ancient Mexican literature. The next deck is a deck you associate with the current season, and actually that was my biggest struggle. I actually don't really have an answer because there aren't a lot of green places, green spaces in the city where I live, and I feel like it's only very, very, very recently that people have started talking about that, about green spaces, about nature, everything. So I have never had like a close relationship with nature, and so plant decks and stuff like that doesn't speak to me like it does to other people. But also because there's now more talk about that, and because of TarotTube, and because of my current interests and my current practice and my current beliefs and stuff, I have wanted to like have a closer relationship to nature. But to local flora, local fauna. And because of the way that the deck industry works, there aren't really any decks that speak to me in terms of nature, in terms of what I see in my surroundings. Even the decks that are nature based, that are created by Latin creators, they are creators that have Latin heritage, but they live in the US or in other places. So they have an other, um, like other flora, right? So there isn't any deck that really speaks to me in terms of nature. I have been, I don't know, I feel like if I knew more about local plants, I would like to make a deck, but I have so many deck ideas that I don't think that would be my number one to make. But I do feel like I would love to make like a more local deck for me, because so far I haven't seen any deck in the market that feels Mexican. Like, no, there isn't anything that feels, yeah. Anyway, so I know that season could refer to like this time in my life. So if we go by that, I would choose the Angel Blessings Oracle, because this is the one that has been very soothing to me at the moment with while I wait for my surgery and stuff. I have been really enjoying this one, but I have showed it a ton. I feel like, I mean, a ton, right? I feel like I have, it's a very new channel, so, but I feel like I've showed it a lot, or maybe that's just my idea. So this is the Angel Blessings. This has been very soothing for me, and I do feel like when I look back, this deck will be representative to this season of my life. The next prompt is a deck in which your favorite animal makes an appearance. And actually, okay, so I didn't want to be super basic, because I feel like realistically my favorite animal are dogs. So I could show the Wise Dog Tarot or the White Sage, something like that. I never use that deck, but the Fool is a really adorable dog card. But also I was thinking of other animals. So when I was a kid, my favorite animals were tigers and flamingos. But I don't think I have a deck with either tigers or flamingos. But currently, I feel like lately my favorite animals, other than dogs, obviously, are bears. I just think bears are adorable, and especially my favorite kind are the bears that you can imagine in a tea party. Like literally. So I'm going to show you an oldie that I love, and that's the John Bauer Tarot. And actually, if you can see, I made a pouch for it, and the image that I chose was the Strength card that features a really adorable bear. So you can see this is one of my favorite cards, one of my favorite images. So it's this box, and I have mine modified. It's completely trimmed. I'm not going to try to find the card with the bear, because clearly I didn't prepare for this video and I don't want to make it much longer, but you already saw it. This is one of my favorite cards. It's a very special card, this one, for me. But I mean, you saw it in the bag. Yeah, no, I'm not even going to attempt. Oh, and you have it here as well. The bear. This is the Strength card. It's absolutely adorable. And the final prompt is a deck with a rainbow, either on the box or in one of the cards. And again, that came right away for me, because it's a new purchase that is kind of like the Goblin Market. Is one of those that I have been wanting for ages, and it's one of those that I put in my cart and I take away, and I put it in my cart and I take away, and I finally got it. And it's the Fairy Tarot by Antonio Lupatelli, and this one features a rainbow in one of the cards. Hold on. So I wanted this one because it's one of those that the art is adorable and it's fairies, but it's very clever and very well done in terms of like its historical associations. The majors are like this, and let me just look for the rainbow card. So this is the Temperance card, and as you can see it has a rainbow and it's super pretty. But I wanted to show you the pips because the pips are like this. They have German pips. So it's the bells and the leaves and the acorns and the hearts, and it has the pips on top, but then it has an illustration in the bottom, which reminds me of like the old fortune telling decks that had the pips in the top and an illustration in the bottom, and especially, you know, like with the Germanic pips. And then there is also in the majors, there are some nods to some historical cards. So it's actually really, really clever. Oh, and I love the backs, and they are also reversible. Yeah, so I really adore this deck, and I'm super glad that I finally bought it, because after I bought it, the tariffs and everything came through. The new economical guidelines created by you know who in the US have terminated the free trade agreement between Mexico and the US, and that means that I can no longer get mass market decks as easily as I could before, because I have to look for local sellers or retailers, and they don't carry the decks that are not super popular. They only carry the decks that are going to sell, right? And as you know, my tastes are somewhat unconventional, and so a lot of the decks that I want are not sold by local sellers, and I can no longer buy them on Amazon, unless maybe I bought them from Amazon US, but then I would have to pay tariffs, which again is something that I never had to do before this. I had never had to pay like customs fees, and now I do. And you know, if you take into consideration that I pay in Mexican pesos, that makes it even worse. So I'm glad that I eventually bought it before the new economical order of the world came into action. So those are all the prompts. This was super fun. I'm going to put my name again here. I think I'm going to put my name in my intro and outro, right? That's like, it sounds logical. But I'm going to put it here because it's weird to have it in the center. So thank you so much for watching. Once again, my name is Mariana. This is Happening by Chance. I will see you soon with another video, and in the meantime I wish you happy reading, whether that be card reading, book reading, whether dice, charms, whatever type of reading you prefer.